Weeb News! And that, of course, means the return of the big-titted arch-waifu, instead of the usual face cam. I half sneakily suspect a fair few of you may prefer this variant. And to get in front of the inevitable questions of arch-VTuber when, I'll become a VTuber when Kyle stops being one. There you go. Now, on to the actual point of today's video. Kadokawa begins translating and distributing manga and light novels directly. I know I'm a bit slow on the trigger on this one, but this is a very big deal. Not just for manga and light novels or anime, but for Western entertainment. You might be wondering why. Well, you see, Japan is a home to a wealth of awesome stuff. The anime, manga, light novels, web novels, all kinds of lovely things that we over here in the West really do appreciate when we on occasion get the chance to actually look at some of it in a translated form. For example, the recent, you've probably seen the stats, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Blade of the Demon Slayer, I believe, or something to that effect, has been absolutely annihilating Western comics in the sales department, and by no small percentage either. I am not surprised by that in the slightest, because here's the thing, Western comics are... See, I was supposed to say stale, but... that would be the understatement of the century. Western comics are a plague planet covered in swamps. Batman is 80 years old. No matter how good a character is, after 8 decades, that particular money horse has been wrung dry, down to the last itsy-bitsy drop. Batman has done everything. He's been to the future, he's been to the past, he's been steampunked, he's been meatpunked. He's fought Judge Dredd, he's fought the aliens and the predators, he's fought Superman, he has done everything. Twice, probably. Meanwhile, over in Wapano land, instead of focusing so much on individual characters, instead it tends to focus on broader genres and ideas. The recent craze, for example, is for isekai settings. Isekai refers to being reborn in a fantasy world, usually surrounded by hot anime waifus and with some form of superpower. I imagine you can see the appeal already, but instead of having that one setting, which would probably grow stale very quickly, they instead launch 1,000 different iterations upon it. In one setting, you're reborn as a boy raised by gods. In another, your special power is to eat magic stones, I guess. In another, you're reborn as a woman in a reverse harem setting. In this case, it's the villainess, by the way. This would be the more traditional otome game where you have a female main character being surrounded by hot husbandos instead of waifus. It's the same recipe, but, you know, with the roles switched around. Or, another incredibly popular craze, particularly in Korea right now, is the idea of the otome genre, but where you're reborn as the main antagonist instead, the villainess, the so-called evil character. It's remarkable how it manages to keep a setting quite fresh and interesting, despite the setting itself and the main story being pretty much the same across the various installments. And the reason why it's such a big deal that Kadokawa will be releasing it directly is because there has been anime, manga, and light novels released in the West, but they have almost always been released through third-party companies who have influenced the original license owners quite a bit. One of the biggest is Crunchyroll, who is currently working on their own anime, which looks nothing so much as like just a parody of anime. Like, look at this and tell me that this doesn't look like some classical American looking at anime and going, huh, I can do that, but westernized. And incidentally, you want to know what the... here, I'm not even going to tell you what the problem with Crunchyroll is. I'm just going to show you a picture of one of the writers for this series. Surrounded, of course, by a variety of her hot takes. Yeah. No further commentary necessary. Genuinely. None. Absolutely none necessary. Also, I do love the angry bat there who's kind of staring up at her like, woman, please cease. Desist your hot takes. Also, don't you find it amusing how every time they've got their attractive little anime characters, which is always a hint misleading compared to the real life variant. And this isn't, of course, all of it either. A lot of these companies have taken it upon themselves to reimagine the original pieces. This is one of the most commonly brought up examples, Kobayashi-san no Maid Dragon, where you have two characters, Toru, which is this one in the foreground, and Lukua in the background. Lukua's thing is that she's the sexy One-san, the big sister character with the ginormous titties. That is a joke. She has massive honkers, and she likes to show them off. So the text in the sub variant, and I won't say I speak Japanese, but I understand Japanese, and this is pretty accurate. Toru, what's with that outfit? Lukua, everyone was always saying something to me, so I tried toning down the exposure. How is it? Toru, you should try changing your body next. Then, the fun animation dub variant. Toru, what are you wearing there for? Lukua, oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves, so I changed clothing. Once more, no further commentary required, frankly. And this is another example in Neo the World End With You, welcome to capitalism. Yeah, the problem with companies like Kadokawa running their products through Western companies is that a lot of them are woke as shit, and has given them some ideas of their own. Kadokawa president apologizes for support of manga censorship remarks, and to point it out as well, I don't think this guy understood what he was, talking about when he said this. So, this is his quote. A lot of Japanese manga won't pass review at Google or Apple. So, while keeping that in mind, I do somewhat have the feeling that we have to re-establish the standards of what it is okay to release and what isn't for the internet era. In the publishing industry that I'm in, everyone is in the pro-freedom of speech camp, but I do get this strong feeling that we have to redraw the line somehow. This received a massive backlash, because it turns out people that have finally found an escape from a wokeist comment in manga don't want to see it censored. Weird, I know, right? And eventually, this was walked back. And here's the thing. He eventually apologized, and this was a personal comment, and he took a 20% cut in pay for 3 months. Now, this guy's a big head honcho. A 20% pay cut isn't gonna send him on the street starving, but it's the symbolism of the gesture. This guy was like, okay, I made a mistake. Your feedback has been received. In fact, allow me to demonstrate my sincerity to you. No Western executive is gonna do that shit. God, no. Hell, admitting he's wrong, they're not even gonna do that, much less actually give a monetary recompense for it. And the thing is, I, again, don't think that this guy, he probably received messages from Crunchyroll and the Western license, like, oh yes, you can't have gravure shots in your mangas over here, that would be horrible, because they wouldn't pass Google or Apple, and that is a Google and Apple problem. Screw them both. You don't need them. I'm looking at, on a separate screen here, a fan translation site. Basically sites that put up fan translations of popular mangas. And I'm looking at Kimetsu no Yaiba. It has 153 million views. Now, this is a free fan translation version, so obviously you can shave off some of the butter there, but if Kadokawa could even get 1% of those views translating into actual sales, holy hell, that's one hell of a payday. One hell of a payday. And finally, they have realized that why are we releasing this through Middlemen? Why are we paying people a undoubtedly massive percentage to do this for us? In fact, if this shit is so profitable that a third party can earn money just from translating, God, we are giving up the golden goose here. And now they're stepping in to replace the third parties, which means we're gonna get our entertainment directly from the source. And the Japanese are rather based. They are not going to be bowing down to the SJWs just yet, I do hope. So this is a massive improvement for us, and hopefully the introduction of a strong, non-woke competitor in the market will also cause all of the other market competitors, the Marvels, the DCs, the Netflix of the world, to look at that and go, shit, we are getting our asses creamed by cartoons from some tiny little ass backwards island nation who didn't even view the Western market as a possibility a year ago. For reasons that I am not allowed to repeat on YouTube. The Japanese have for the longest time viewed Japan as the one and only market, and beyond its borders lies nothing but savage desert. It's been interesting being a fan of Japanese entertainment up until this point, let me tell you. To the point where, once again, fan translations, literal randos translating, has been our best source of getting a hold of much of this. Yeah, it's been bad, but this is great, and it is a huge deal that might just be the thing that finally flips the Western entertainment market on its head, as all of them, because again, I firmly do believe the reason why the Netflix and the Marvels of the world, etc., believe that their woke as garbage is popular is because they're constantly told that it's totally popular by the Twitter mob, by social media, by the writers who get hyped up on social media, who spend most of their time assaulting their own fandom, incidentally. Once they are presenting it with a, not just a viable competitor, but something that utterly crushes them in every way, I hope as the alarm bells will finally begin to ring. Optimistic, I know. But still, yet more hope on the horizon. Until next time, I have been big-titted anime waifu Arch, and I hope to see you all again soon. A voice changer coming TM in the future. Have a good day.